with Dirty Red. They done let your boy back in the pilot seat again. I didn't think after last week they were going to do it, but they done messed around and let me back in this pilot seat. I'm joined by two of my favorites, former Clemson running back, soon to be girl dad.
Yeah, join the club.
Join the club, baby. And if one time we come on radio, if it's already happening and I'm introducing you as soon to be, go ahead and correct me, baby, because that's going to be one of the best days of your life. No doubt about it, man. Sure. Darien Rencher, former Clemson running back. Wrench, what's good, man?
What's good, boss? Glad to have you leading the show, man. Come on, I'm ready for it.
Well, hey, man, make me look good, baby. I'm used to running backs and tight ends and wideouts making me look good. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Hey, and one of my favorite dudes of all time, one of my favorite coaches of all time, former U of H Cougar head coach, Texas A&M Aggie head coach, Arizona head coach, I'm sorry, Kevin Sumlin. Kev, what's going on, Summy?
What's up, man? How you doing? Hey, my oldest daughter is here, right? So here's what you got to look forward to. She went to NYU, and she's an actress. She's in West Hollywood, and I'm my house in Tucson, so she's here kicking it with me at 23 years old. When you get old like me, you look forward to those days. Now, what you got going on, my man? You got a long time for that.
Yeah, I got a long road ahead.
You know, they say, boys are there to like hang out with you, but girls will take care of you for the rest of your life, and that's the best thing.
Yeah. Amen.
Hey, check it out. I got a 7-month-old coach. I'm gonna be the only dad that looks like a grandfather in the stands, so she ain't gonna have to take care of me very long. But Rich, you one of them young cats, man. You're just gonna have to take care of you. Hey, well, check it out. Before we get cranking, man, let's take care of a little business, man. We're powered by BetRivers. Everybody go to BetRivers.com. Check out all the action. And want you to create a little action on BetRivers.com. You could also find us on the Sirius XM app. And don't forget about our merch store, Field of 68.shop. We got all kind of T-shirts. You can find my Cuss and Discuss T-shirt on that joker. I don't know if either of you guys have one yet, but we'll get one. Hey, Coach, we'll get one in the works for you. We'll get one in the mail for you guys. Hey, look, we got a big night. We got Pat Forde of Sports Illustrated is going to join us here pretty quickly. So if you're dialed in, make sure all your friends, your family, your mom and them, call them. Make sure they're dialed in as well. That we'll spend about 15 minutes with Pat Forde from Sports Illustrated. We got some Big 12 talk. We got my man Wrench. He's back on the interview trail. Deuce Vaughn. I got a great story about Deuce Vaughn, one of the great running backs in the country right now. Absolutely killing it up at Kansas State. We got an interview with him and Wrench coming up here shortly, and we're going to play a little for real or fraud. I like to say real recognizes real and a fraud can't hide, fellas. You know what I mean? We're going to play a little bit of that at the end of this thing, but we always started off with a good toast of the night.
Yeah.
All right. And Coach, I'm gonna start with you, man. I'm gonna all due respect you, man. You've been around the block and back, and Give me your toast of the night, baby.
I was last week. I went with Lance Leopold, right? Could have done it again this week, right? Kansas off the chain, but I think tonight, based on what happened last week, it's a combination. I think Chip Kelly, with what happened the other night, unranked, right? Playing at home. First, really, since he's been there, top 20 victory. Whether Washington is for real or a fraud, that's a whole nother story. But it's a top 20 team. And for me, it's kind of a combination because let's be honest. We've been waiting for DTR to play that kind of game, play that kind of football since high school. DTR has been one of the highest recruited guys. He's been there for 9 years now? I don't know. but that's the DTR that we've been waiting to see. And that DTR and that Chip Kelly, that game, even though they came back, Washington did, very little defense. But what I'm saying is I think that the combination of those two deserve a toast. So here's to Chip Kelly and DTR.
Come on.
Cheers.
Rich, what you got, baby?
Look, I'm going to go. I gave this team a shout out at the beginning of probably my first episode on here. We're talking about underrated teams from the ACC. This team is sitting at 5-0, and they got a chance. Look, these next 2 or 3 games, they got a chance. I'm not going to say it's going to be done, but they put themselves right in a perfect position to get it done if it's ever going to be a time to get it done. Syracuse is 5-0. Sean Tucker is one of the best running backs in the country. He's been putting up numbers for the last 2 years. He's having a really good year. Dino Babers up there. They beat us. We lost to them in 2017. It was like the first loss we had in a while at Clemson. I've really respected what he's done there with that program. They're sitting at 5-0. They play NC State this weekend, who's still a top 15 team. They come to the Valley in 2 weeks. So these next 2 games, if they want to make that leap from a average, good to elite program, they got everything they need to do it. So I'm just saluting them for being 5-0 and making the ACC a little bit competitive,
Here we go. I'm gonna be honest. This one pains me, fellas. This one, this one right here is gonna pain me. But I gotta keep it real, man. I gotta give mine to Jalen Milroe, the backup Alabama quarterback that came in. He was a sophomore. They beat the brakes off my Arkansas Razorbacks. But I mean, he's a kid from right here in the Houston area. He's a Katy kid on the west side of Houston, and he came in and won a ball game. They dealt with some adversity. Ended up being made a couple of plays late in that ball game, along with Jahmyr Gibbs, that absolutely won it in the fourth quarter. But so I want to salute him for his first real action, being on the road in a hostile environment. I was in the stadium. Arkansas was making a comeback. They got within 4 or 5 points, and Milroe weathered the storm and went and won that football game with a hell of a team at Alabama. But on the road, Alabama, their expectations are national championship. That we could be making excuses about a quarterback getting hurt while that team lost in Fayetteville, and we're not doing that. So Jalen Milroe, I got to give one up to young Houston area quarterback himself. Great kid, great family. I'm good to see good things happen to a kid like that and a family like that. Like I said, we got Pat Forde of Sports Illustrated coming up here pretty quick, so stay dialed in now. But what we want to do is we want to jump into our top 4, fellas. Top 4 right now. We've seen 5 weeks of football plus, I guess, week 0. So really 6 weeks of football that we've seen, college football. And the top 10 in this country has just been going nuts, in and out every week. Teams falling out, new teams jumping in. But let's run through each of our top 4 real quick right now. Who's getting in the college football playoffs today, Coach? If you're picking them today, who's in the college football playoffs for you?
So right now, right, to me, there's 2 things you're looking at, right? You're looking at, right, who have you played, right? Which we all know right now. Early, it looked like Miami's just an average football team, right? So as you get to week 4, 5, 6, you start to see some things start to happen. Consistency, close games. Everybody's worried about, well, but did you win, right? Did you win the game? Right, because other people have not. Right now, by the eye test and by who's playing, it's hard to say Ohio State's not number 1. I mean, because of who they've played and how they've played. I mean, nobody wants to say it, but to me, right now, they're the best team in the country based on how they're playing from what I see, right? Number 2, Bama's going to be there. We get it, right? They're throwing up 40, 45 a night, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, right? You lose maybe the other guy, the other quarterback that's probably the second best quarterback in the country. It's 21-0. 21-0, right? He gets hurt, right? He leaves, team goes down. We all played football. We all know what that means. Either coach played it. And like everybody's like, oh, and then they struggle a little bit, and then they hit the accelerator again, another 40-something, right? Damn near 50 again. So to me, that's a real football team. Now, Clemson, what are they doing? Right? Who are they? Up and down a little bit. We'll figure that out. Right? I would say there are 3. I really have a hard time with Michigan, right? I have a really hard time with Michigan, but to me, they are better. I think the sleeper team in this thing that's like 4/5 is Oklahoma State because of the Big 12. I'm talking about the Final Four. I'm not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, because coming out of the Big 12, Oklahoma State, because of their resume last year, remember, if they don't go for it on it, go for a touchdown, right?
Big 12 championship.
They're going to playoffs last year. And I have a hard time right now counting Oklahoma State out of the playoffs right now.
Rench, what you got, baby?
Look, I'm gonna go. If we're going right now, or who we think is gonna finish it for? Because if we're going right now, I'm about to go. We're taking 4 teams right now.
Right now.
I think Ohio State, like you said, I think 2 things, just like you said. Who have you played and how have you played? I think Ohio State has put it together. They're scoring points. I think just on both sides of the ball, they're kind of holding down right now. I like what they're doing there. So Ohio State, I feel like for sure. And I don't see anybody out of that conference really giving them trouble right now. I mean, there's some teams that could definitely they could make a name for themselves and take the big dog down. But I don't see that right now. So Ohio State. Then my 2. I'm going to say Bama, but at the same time, Bama isn't looking like mighty Bama this year. They're not just steamrolling everybody. I mean, they've had 2 close games up to this point. The game at Texas could have went either way. The game of Arkansas, there was a point in there where it wasn't definitive, like, oh my gosh, Alabama could have lost. I still say Alabama because they're Bama. You got to respect what they've done. And 3, I'm going to put Clemson. And man, I say Clemson because Clemson's got 2 top 25 wins already through 5 games. And the rest of the season looks like more like smooth sailing. But I think strength of schedule right now, they got 2 really solid wins over Wake Forest and NC State. And hopefully those 2 teams go on to make our schedule look even better, which I think they will. Then I got Syracuse, who will be potential ranked team coming in. They play Florida State next week. So I think the strength of schedule for them looks really good. And the biggest question mark from last year was scoring points. We're finally scoring points again, fellas. Look, DJ Uyunglele is doing his thing. They're rolling. So I'm excited about them at 3. And then at 4, I'm kind of the same way. That's a toss-up for me because you got like the team sorting around. You got Southern Cal. But to me, I'm just not entirely sold on Southern Cal. You got Michigan. He didn't say a name. I think you still got to put UGA in that category. UGA probably had the strongest start of the season when they smacked Oregon. I mean, that was a statement game coming out the gate. And since then, they've had a couple moments too where like they don't look like mighty UGA. And so I'll probably put Georgia at 4, honestly. Obviously, out of that conference, will both teams make it? Probably not this year because I think USC out of Pac-12 could make a run. Oklahoma State can make a run. Well, those are my top 4 right now. So I'm going Bama, Clemson, UGA, and who was my Ohio State?
I'm gonna ride with this right here, fellas. I'm putting Georgia still at 1. I can't hold the Missouri game against Georgia and not hold the Ohio State Notre Dame game against Ohio State. Now that we know who Notre Dame is, I can't hold the Texas game against Bama and not hold. You know, everybody's had one of those games that they probably shouldn't be as tight as they are. But I'm a firm believer in when you play 14 of them, hey man, you ain't gonna show up and get your best game every time. You're gonna be stuck in a dog fight with somebody that don't have any business being in the ring with you. What you got to do is be the last man standing in that situation. I think each one of these teams has done it. So I can't hammer Georgia too much. I still think Georgia's the best overall football team in America. The 49-3 just thumping of Oregon, who's now number 11. Oregon's done nothing but show that they're better than we thought they were since that ball game. I got to go with Georgia 1. I'm going with Ohio State number 2. They're really Notre Dame and Wisconsin. They're 2 big wins. I mean, I think by the end of the year we're not gonna mention them. I think their big wins are down the road for them. But OSU, there's no denying, guys. Especially when they get Njigba back, or what is it, Njigba Smith or Smith and Njigba? I don't know which one goes first.
Right.
But when they get that dude back, they are going to be by far the most explosive offense in America, and their defense is playing pretty damn good. So I'm going with OSU, Ohio State second. I'm going Bama at 3. I'm with you, Rench. I'm not completely sold that Bama is one of those that separated themselves from the crowd, especially if Bryce Young spends any kind of time out.
Right.
But they do that. The win against Texas was a good win on the road in a tight ball game. You're the last man standing. And then they go on the road at Arkansas. Again, I was there. It was a hostile environment. They lose their quarterback in the first half. They fight through adversity. They win that ball game. Bama's defense is playing better than I gave them credit for, if I'm being completely honest.
And they're throwing up 45 a night.
With whoever. Coach, you know what was crazy?
Don't forget about that.
Coach, you know what was crazy the other night in that Bama game? And we're gonna have Bama on our rundown today because somebody else got to talk about it earlier the damn week. But I'm not sure, and I don't have time to go into this right now. I'm not sure that Alabama doesn't scare me more with Jalen Milroe quarterbacking than with Bryce Young quarterbacking. Now, I think they have a better chance, obviously, to win the national championship and beat teams like Georgia and Ohio State with a guy like Bryce Young that can that can at any moment in time explode. But when you're talking about when they play Arkansas or when they play A&M this week or when they play LSU or when they play Auburn, I mean, they're going to be damn near unbeatable. Whereas if Bryce Young's back there in the pocket holding the football, at least you got a chance to get pressure and hit him and get a pick. Man, if they just line up and start road grading like the old school Alabama, they're going to be hard for one of these old middle of the road, middle of the pack SEC teams to beat, man. All right, my last one real quick is Clemson, by the way. Clemson, the win over NC State, the win over Wake Forest. I got to ride with my boy Rencher's boys down there.
Come on.
Georgia, Ohio State, Bama, Clemson. All right, we're going to take a quick.
DJ is real.
DJ, you buy it. DJ is real. You riding with it, huh?
Yep, I'm riding with it.
All right, I like it. Boy, it didn't take but about 2 weeks before things changed, did they? All right, we're gonna take a quick 1 minute break, and when we come back, we're gonna have Pat Forde of Sports Illustrated. All right, welcome back to Field of 12 After Dark. I'm Clint Stoerner, my man Darien Rencher, former Clemson Tiger running back, and Coach Kevin Sumlin is that's his chair right there. He's got a hell of an office, man. There he is. Coach Sum, what's good? And
how are you doing?
Oh, we're all good, man. And we are joined by Pat Forde of Sports Illustrated. Pat, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well, guys. Happy mid-season to you. Good to be on with you.
Yeah, man, we're rocking and rolling. Good times. Hey, we want to jump into some of the more controversial topics real quick with you, man. You're the pro. We got to jump into the hard hitting questions here. Paul Chryst out at Wisconsin, man. This thing has been, an A+ story for the last several days in the college football world. Was this the right move for Wisconsin, man?
It didn't feel right to me. I mean, you can find some ways to justify it, but this is a guy who he is Wisconsin to the crib. He was born there. He went to school there. His dad coached there. He played there. He was assistant coach. He's the head coach, and he had a good record. And, it's like not like he was a bum or anything. And for him to be dismissed 5 games into a season just felt wrong to me. And I think it's a little bit kind of emblematic of where the sport is at this point. It's just like there's so much money out there and it's silly money. And I think there's panic and high stakes that go along with that drive decisions that they rub me the wrong way. I mean, they can afford $11 million payout because the Big Ten's getting ready to make more money than God. So, they can do these things. But I just thought that was a poor way to handle it. I would have given him certainly the rest of the season. I did not see it coming. Shocked me, Clint.
Well, what do you think? Is that the best job that's open right now, Coach? I mean, I know there's a handful of jobs that are out there that are open. Does that Wisconsin job immediately shoot to the top?
Yeah, I don't know. So many jobs are about fit, right? And who fits in that job. So, there are certain coaches out there that think Georgia Tech could be a gold mine because of where it is.
Atlanta.
And as you've heard me say, the best jobs in the country are ACC jobs with SEC players, right? So where can you get those, right? Where can you get those? Georgia Tech fits that bill, and to the right guy, which might not be a triple option guy, but to the right person right there in Atlanta, in that Mecca, it's a pretty good spot. And so, to certain guys, a fit is a fit, right? Wisconsin's a good fit. It was a good fit, but they let a guy go like middle of the season, which I never thought that would happen. I agree. But it's all about fit for coaches, and what you think is a bad job, what everybody else thinks is a bad job is a good job for the right guy.
I guess my question, something to talk about is, for me, like I just finished playing, and so when I see Wisconsin, I've always seen them as like a pretty respectable program. They've won games, been in New Year's Six bowl games. I've had friends that play there, and I feel like Wisconsin, it comes with some swagger. Obviously, they didn't get to the start they wanted to this year, but I never looked at them as I looked at Nebraska or Georgia Tech, like a teams that just weren't living up to the hype at all. I feel like Wisconsin's been a really solid program, put out a bunch of league guys. I feel like they've kind of met the metrics besides probably playing in the playoffs. And so to me, what is the new, like, what's the standard? What are they going for? What's realistic? And that's where it's crazy. They fired him because I'm like, y'all are doing a lot better than other teams. The other coaches have been getting fired. I get Nebraska firing, my man. I get Georgia Tech. They haven't winning games at all. But you guys have been winning and competing at the highest level, sometimes knocking off Ohio State in the last 4 or 5 years. So I just don't get what's the expectation now. Is it realistic?
I think that's a great question, because I think there is some unrealistic expectation there. Spoiled, whatever the case may be, delusional, I don't know, but they've had a really long period of being good, occasionally real good. Sometimes
right.
Get in the top 10, go to the Rose Bowl, which at Wisconsin, that's excellent. And if you think that's going to happen every year, all the time, I think you're deluding yourself a little bit. I look at what they're doing, and I had some people say, we're Wisconsin, we should be in the top 25 every year. There's about 6 teams in the last 5 years that have been top 25 every year. No more than that. And it's the usual suspects. We could name them all. So, are you setting yourself up to be Nebraska after you fired Frank Solich or Bo Pelini? Are you setting yourself up to be Auburn after you fired Gus Malzahn and now you're getting ready to fire Brian Harsin? Are you setting yourself up to be Texas after you fired Mac Brown or after you fired Tom Herman and the next guy hasn't been as good? So hey, Jim Leonard, really highly respected, could work out well, but he better work out well because they're putting a lot on this.
I mean, that's got to be a hell of a gig. They're in the right side of that conference, right? I mean, the expectations. I'm one of those guys, path of least resistance, baby. I mean, if I can get that Big Ten money and I can play in that easy division, and all I got to do is go win the title, win the conference championship to get in that big dance. I'm a path of least resistance guy. I know that shocks you, Coach Sumlin. I know that surprises you right there. Hey, Pat, who are the top candidates, man? The list and the names that are floating around out there since the Nebraska job, since Frost was let go at Nebraska, I look at some of them and I'm just like, you got to be shitting me, man. There's no way that's literally the short list. Who are the top candidates out there legitimately in that Wisconsin, on the Wisconsin map?
Well, I think they do want to give Jim Leonard a legitimate shot at it. And, he's had some opportunities maybe to go elsewhere. He stayed. I think people viewed him coaching waiting sort of thing. And now, the wait was shorter maybe than we expected. So I think he gets a legitimate 7-week audition. If it doesn't work out, where do they go from there? Hey, Lance Leipold, who's killing it at Kansas, is a Wisconsin legend. All right. He's from the state. He won 6 D3 national championships in the state. So I think he would be an attractive guy there. Dave Dorn has had his name thrown around for a couple jobs, for Nebraska and possibly for Wisconsin at North Carolina State. He's just done a consistently really good job at NC State. So, if Jim Leonard doesn't work out, they will not be hurting for candidates. The question is, can you get somebody who is as good as Paul Chryst?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting when you let one go that's averaging that many W's a year over a good sample size. It's tough to.
Let's just say what it is, right? When somebody gets let go this early in the season that has that much success, there's a plan in place, right? And Jim Leonard is the guy right now, right? They're going to give him an opportunity, but they don't want to pass up on what Pat just talked about. There are 2 other viable candidates, right? Depending on what happens at the end here, that they can sign up quickly to get back to Wisconsin, to have Wisconsin roots, that understand the culture there. And it gets back to what I said, it's about fit. And all 3 of those guys fit, but they have a guy in-house that's going to have an opportunity to show the fans and show the players if they can win at Wisconsin.
And I got a question. So maybe I can go real quick. It's just, at Clemson, I had that similar experience. Well, that's kind of in the lineage of Coach Swinney when Bobby Bowden got fired, not Bobby Bowden, Coach Bowden got fired. Coach Swinney took over mid-season, and he had a little window to win and prove as much to the Clemson family as he could to prove he could be the guy for next year. How many games do you think he has to win, or which games do you think he has to win to really win over the Wisconsin fan base?
Yeah, I think this also may have played a factor in the hire, I think, or the move. I'm sorry, the firing, and then subsequently the elevation of Jim Leonard is the schedule. They're giving Jim a kind of a soft launch here. It's 2 straight road games, but road games at Northwestern, at Michigan State, maybe the worst teams in the 2 respective divisions. Then you come home for Purdue and Maryland. Then you got Iowa at Iowa. This is where it gets interesting. I think the last 3 weeks. If you get through those first 4, if you're 4-0, if you're 3-1,
you're rolling.
You're in pretty good shape. Yeah, right. Then at Iowa, which is a rival, at Nebraska, then the big rival game, Minnesota. So if he can get through there 5-2, I would not be surprised if he is the full-time coach shortly thereafter. But they will wait. I think they will let this thing play all the way out. If you lose the Paul Bunyan Axe game to Minnesota at the end, that wouldn't sit too well.
That's Pat Forde of Sports Illustrated, Darien Rencher, former Clemson running back, and Kevin Sumlin, former head coach in the SEC, Conference USA. Coach, I was doing a little digging. I didn't know you had 2 Conference USA Coaches of the Year and an SEC. I knew you was doing your thing up there. I didn't know you had 3 of them. No, Summy. Damn, come on now.
No, just trying to win some games, bro. And stay away from what we were just talking about right now, which I didn't stay away from, right?
Hey,
so
that's right.
Pat, to your point, if you look at that schedule right now, because I've been to a few Big Ten games, right? I think Maryland's a pretty good football team right now. Right? The way they played Michigan, to me, they're a problem, right? Purdue, Minnesota, who knows who Minnesota is right now after Purdue goes up there and beats them, right? And then you look at the rest of that schedule, like you said, Nebraska, I mean, they should walk off with Nebraska, right? Iowa is not going to score any points. We know that, right? Mm-hmm. If you can stop them, you can kick a field goal and win the game. So I think the schedule is soft for him to be successful, and it's set up that way. And, call me crazy, but timing is kind of interesting to get rid. I think he wins the rest of his games.
Another point to that point, Kevin, last year they started badly. They started 1-3, and then he turned it around. I wonder if they're thinking, "Oh, we're not giving him a chance to turn it around this time. We're going to give that chance now to Jim Leonard." That's where that might be coming from.
Hey guys, let's move on to this next topic. Hey, Coach Sum, you may want to take a restroom break or get you another drink or something. If you go to the bar, get your boy one. Get me a refill, man. Jimbo's malaise at A&M. Did I say that right, Pat? Did I say that right?
You did.
You're dealing with an old Arkansas grad now. Malaise is a new term for me, man. But obviously. Look, man, obviously some unexpected struggles last year and this year for A&M, and I don't need to go too deep into explanation. I mean, the offense right now is 102nd in college football. They're dead last in the SEC. It's an offensive-minded head coach. Jimbo's got problems in College Station.
Oh, big problems. I mean, he's got big money, but he's got big problems. More money, more problems, I guess. You can't figure out how to possibly fire him because his contract's ridiculous. But
crazy.
People are getting disenchanted really quickly there. And the other great thing, he's got the recruiting, and people I think could rightly say, give these guys a chance to grow up a little. They are young. I mean, their star players are young. The problem is Jimbo, offensive guy, alleged quarterback whisperer. What's he whispering to the quarterbacks? Because it's not getting there. It's not translating. And really, since Jameis Winston, I'm not sure he's been a great quarterback coach necessarily. So, there were such high expectations, and I thought this team was a year away. I really did. I thought they were overrated coming into the season, but I didn't expect them to be this bad. I didn't expect them to lose to App State. So I'm going to the game in Tuscaloosa. If they get buried there and, Saban wants to prove a point and go hurry up in the last 2 minutes while he's up by 4 touchdowns, I'm not sure anybody would blame him after what happened in the offseason. But that's really kind of an ugly situation and fascinating. And, Coach Sumlin knows that is a cauldron of pressure at that school. And they have incredible expectations all the time, no matter what.
Hey, Coach, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm fresh out of. I'm fresh out. I meant Pat, Coach. I wasn't bringing you. I meant Pat. Pat, I'm fresh out of waiting until these youngsters grow up, boss. I mean, I'm fresh out of it, man. I'm down here right in the middle of it. I mean, these are top 5 recruiting classes. Since he got the gig, and several before he got the gig. I mean, it seems like year after year we're talking about, we'll let these 4 and 5 stars grow up, man. Let's develop these guys. And my quarterback got hurt. Let me get my quarterback back in there. Now we're working on our 3rd quarterback. And ultimately, if we're being honest, I mean, I'm about the product on the football field, man. And when I watch this offense, it is when you start talking about, let's say, top 25 teams, it is the most outdated offense that I watched. And that's just because I can't think of a better term. It's the most outdated. It appears to be very simple from the outside looking in. There's not a bunch of motions and there's not a bunch of shifts and different movements that these new age coaches have where they're stretching everybody from sideline to sideline. There's none of that. But yet there seems to be an unbelievable amount of arguing and confusion from about the numbers to the bench. You know what I mean? It's like we're just trying to block most dangerous man on a damn bubble screen. Can we get that done, fellas? I mean, you got a 5-star to do it. So I'm fresh out of let the guys grow up, and I just think Jimbo's got to answer to the music, man. I know they can't $90+ million buyout. They can't make any big moves, but he's got to answer to this music, man.
And then I guess to me, so we kind of were joking about this. It was me and you on here, Clint, like week 3. We're talking about this is a legit thing, and now it's looking like that. You look at their schedule, you go to Bama, and that could be the one. Hey, if they can pull that one out, like Johnny Manziel era, I don't know if that's never gonna happen again. Rich, man, if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass every time he jumped. D. I mean, he ain't no way in hell. Look,
you kidding me?
They go to Bama. They go to South Carolina, and to me, I might take South Carolina as a favorite now. When I'm at Carolina, they want to get a win. They play Ole Miss at home, play Florida. I mean, who's to say the next 4 games won't be 4 L's or at best 1 and 3?
Yeah,
Like, it could get really ugly.
Right. I mean, the knock has been he's coach 8-4 there. Well, what if they're worse than 8-4? Then what do you do? I mean, but it's golden handcuffs. I don't know how you get out of this situation without having to pay an absolute fortune. So I think you gotta hope that you can talk him into letting somebody else call the plays. That's been brought up. There's various solutions that have been offered, but I have a hard time figuring out any solution that doesn't involve Jimbo Fisher still being the coach in 2023.
Yeah, look, guys, there's one obvious solution if you can't fire him, right? And you got to somehow take it out of Jimbo's hands because he doesn't appear to want to let it go. He's got to hire an offensive coordinator. And I said this earlier. I think the highest paid assistant coach in America next year should be the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. Because look, let's be honest. What Jimbo's doing from a recruiting standpoint is impressive now. I mean, it's impressive. He's 8-4, 5th in the West last year, and he's still getting these guys to come in there. I mean, I don't think everything Jimbo does is necessarily, hey, you got to get him. He's running a good ship. It's just that offense has to change, man. He's got to hire an OC. He's got to go ask the top 3 OCs in America, hey, you write the check. I'll give you a blank check. You come on over here and you can coach the offense. That's the only thing that A&M can do if you look at their current situation right now. Hey, Pat, I know we only got you for a few, man. I want to jump down to the Big 12. The Big 12 appears to be doing fine without OU and Texas, at least without OU and Texas leading the way. And we can't talk about the Big 12 without leading this thing off with the Kansas Jayhawks, man. Are they for real? Is this a team that you think could potentially win the Big 12?
Well, I mean, look at the way they've played. If you watch them, they look good. Jalen Daniels is a fantastic quarterback. He is really good, and their scheme's great. I mean, they're fun, and they're playing with incredible confidence that they've never had, or at least haven't had in 15 years. So, and you look around the league, and this is the great thing about this league. I'm enjoying it so much this year because it is not the usual suspects. On the very week that we have the Red River game, OU and Texas, the game of the year is in Lawrence, Kansas, and it's TCU in Kansas. So, I mean, that's amazing. And that, like, if you are in the Big 12 and you're pissed at OU and Texas for leaving, this is like the ultimate schadenfreude for you because you're like, bye, Felicia. We're doing fine without you. We're winning games over here. We got ranked undefeated teams playing. We got game day in Lawrence. Y'all go have your little Red River game and then go get your ass kicked in the SEC. Fine. So, it's a fascinating season there. I think Oklahoma State's very good. I think Kansas State is good. I think TCU's really good too, though. I mean, this is a tough game for Kansas. I was down and talking to Sonny Dykes before the year, and he didn't want to say too much, but you could tell he really liked the personnel they had. Loved the offensive line. Thought they had a bunch of different kinds of receivers. And he was playing pretty coy with the quarterbacks. Like, we got 3 guys. I'm not sure who it's going to be. Max Duggan looks like a Heisman finalist at this point. So, I mean, they're good. They are good.
That's hey, Pat, you've done this a long time, right? This weekend, it's usually game days trying to figure out if they're going to Alabama A&M or they're going to Texas, Oklahoma, right? Yeah. No, they're in Lawrence, Kansas. Right. That's enough to be said. Right. And that says a lot about what Lance has done and where that program is. And sure, they got some bounces last week. Iowa State missed 3, 4 field goals. But in a great year and things like that happen. Right. You got to get some bounces, but they're playing at a high level. I think right now, for the first time, no one cares about the OU on the side of the helmet. No one cares about Texas. You've got 4 other teams in the Big 12 right now. Right. TCU, Kansas, Oklahoma State has never cared, right? they're going to play like crazy, right? Yeah. And then all those guys that have to go. I was looking at Oklahoma's schedule. They got to go to Lubbock too, right? So there's a good chance Oklahoma will be even or underdogs for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It
right?
is.
Texas this week is what favorite? 5, 7?
7, which I mean, that's a big number. Texas
right?
hasn't been favored against Oklahoma since like 2009.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So why not one of those teams, right?
Yeah.
Sonny's doing a great job. I mean, that was not a fluke. He pulled off at the end. They probably could have got 75, 80, right? Yeah. And so, I think Kansas is in a great position right now because they're hungry. They've beaten Iowa State, who's going to beat one of those two, which they do every year, right?
Right.
And so Oklahoma State is right there. So between Kansas and Oklahoma State in the Big 12, I think it's a toss-up right now. And that has nothing to do with Texas or OU for the first time in who knows how long.
Yeah, no, that's why one of the reasons we love this sport is because you just don't know what's going to happen. Nobody saw this weekend coming, and here we are. Nobody.
I think from a conference standpoint, maybe besides probably more than the Pac-12, but just competitive depth. That's something the ACC we've been fighting for forever. Kind of like you kind of know it's going to be Clemson, obviously NC State. Pitt's kind of made a little roughest. Wake is doing a great job. Florida State's finally back. But to me, the Big 12's conference, even the teams that are kind of lower, they all got to play each other at some point. Even Iowa State could come back. Texas can make a run. Texas Tech can make a run. But to have the best football being played in the state of Kansas is just, from my experience going through recruiting and everything, and to see like my years in college, the fact that Kansas is playing the best football, Kansas State and Kansas, that's crazy. And it's really cool to see as a college football fan, to see the conference kind of be flipped upside down.
Absolutely. I love it. It's great. And that's the depth top to bottom is big. And like last year, it's Baylor, Oklahoma State in the championship game. It's not OU, Texas. This year, we could be looking at that again. I mean, if you're Brett Yormark, the commissioner there, you're like, see, we're going to be okay.
Pat, I know they're not playing their best football right now, but they've been in the news because they changed coaches. But I want to hammer down on your thoughts on what's going on at Oklahoma right now. I mean, this is a defensive-minded head coach, and I know he's up against it a lot. I'm not holding his feet to the fire, just making the point, stating the fact. They gave up, if my math is right, 668 yards against TCU last week, and I just heard Coach Sumlin say they pulled the reins back. I mean, boy, I know there's some tough times in Oklahoma, but damn, that's a tough pill to swallow for Venables now.
Hey, TCU scored 27 in the first quarter on you. And that was the whole thing. Like, look, fans are emotional everywhere, right? And Oklahoma fans were so emotional and mad about Lincoln Riley ditching them. And not for the NFL, but ditching them for another college team. And so they were so mad that it was that thing, like if you get divorced and all of a sudden – I'm going to go find somebody else and get some pictures up on Instagram and Facebook, and we're going to see how happy I am here with my new one, right? That's Venables. Like, Venables is going to be great. He's going to fix the defense. We're going to be tougher. We're bringing back Jerry Schmidt for the strength coach. We got a great offense. We don't need Caleb Williams. We don't need Lincoln Riley. Just watch. Well, now we're watching. Guess what? They probably miss Lincoln Riley.
All right, that's Pat Forde of Sports Illustrated. Pat, man, we appreciate you for joining us, brother. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time in this busy time of year, brother.
Happy to do it, guys. Thank you very much.
You got it. All right. We got our guy, Darien Rencher. He sat down. You just becoming the full-time reporter, baby. Just straight interviewing folks, man.
Look, I'm taking what I can get, man. Trying to make the most of it. But yeah, we got I call him the little engine that could. I think he's standing like 5'5", 5'6", 180 pounds, soaking wet. But, man, he's a baller. He's top 5 in rush right now in college football. Deuce Vaughn, if you don't know him, definitely a name you should look out for. It's putting on for all the little guys out there. But interview coming up next. Me and Deuce Vaughn, Kansas State legend right now. Check it out. What's up, Field 12? This is Darien Rencher, college football analyst here with my guy, Deuce Vaughn. What's good, bro?
What's good, man? I appreciate you having me today.
Yeah, glad to have you on, man. Look, me and Deuce connected a couple weeks ago, so it's kind of come full circle, not doing an interview. Kind of going back 2 weeks ago, bro, you got a really big win against Oklahoma. Y'all been on a really good run. Like, talk me through, like, how the season's been going for you guys, especially after getting that game.
Right. So leading up to that game, we came off of a pretty disappointing loss to Tulane, and we felt like as a football team, we didn't play our best football. just as a collective. I feel like on offense, we were inconsistent. We didn't have a pulse or an identity really against Tulane, or something that we really wanted to focus on going into Oklahoma, understanding that it's really 12 one-week seasons here in college.
Right.
Because anyone can beat anyone. So going into that game, we understood that our preparation, the way that we handled our business throughout the week was going to be big. And that's exactly what we did. And it gave us the confidence, the belief to go into a tough environment down in Norman against 85,000 people that, want to see you lose. And almost, as a football team collectively played really, really well. Understanding that we still had some things that we could have done better. And to go down there and have the belief for the entire 4 quarters, the way that we played is probably the biggest thing I looked at as a football player, was saying these guys, we're out here flying around, playing hard. Rules and principles were in place, and it was kind of one of those things where everybody was playing fast, and it was really cool to see. And then, of course, as soon as you finish up with that game, you hop into conference play again.
Right.
Texas Tech, who's a really physical, fast, athletic football team, and they were coming off a big-time win against Texas. So it's one of those things where you have to rewire your brain again to say, hey, man, we just won a big-time game, but we have to put it behind us. This team into Manhattan is a really good football team. We have to prepare the same way that we did going into Oklahoma to play here at home, and I feel like we did that. We had some lulls and stuff throughout the game as an offense, and but we played really well, and we were able to get a big-time victory, and now shifting our focus to Iowa State before the bye week.
Yeah, bro. I think everything you said, just being on some good teams, that's kind of, you got to go win on the road in big time environments. Good teams win on the road, and then like you said, just having that 1 week season mindset is
right.
So important as you kind of go through the season, because you can't get too low, can't get too high. You just got to stay steady. But y'all are right. I feel like besides the Tulane, obviously that was kind of a letdown. But that, what were your expectations going into the season? And also, how many times y'all been ranked top 25 since you've been there?
This is my, I believe, 3rd time. Last year, I believe we were ranked once. And then this year, we were 25th last week and 20th now. So I believe my 3rd. But expectations as far as coming into the season, we understood that we had a really, really good football team. We had the pieces in place all over the football field, and we had the cohesiveness as a football team to say, man, we're a family. And we felt that ever since we started winter workouts, and we battled through so much adversity together throughout the year that, man, this is the fun part. You know what I'm saying? Summer workouts and everything, they don't compare to this. This is what we do, play football every day in and out, and then on Saturday go out there and get to celebrate the work that you put in. And understanding that, man, it was going to be tough. It's going to be hard, but understanding that this football team is built for it. And for us, of course, every single time we step on the football field, you want to get a win. So going 1-0 every single week is our goal as a football team, and going 1-0 every day as a football team is our goal. And up to that point, I feel like we've done a pretty good job at it. And at this point, it's just being consistent. And man, just understanding that even after Tulane loss, everything that we want is still in front of us. And attacking every single day like that is what we've been doing ever since. And man, I'm so proud of this team and everything we've accomplished at this point.
All right, Deuce Vaughn, Kansas State running back, man. I tell you what, he's knocking on 700 yards already, Rench. That had to be a great interview sitting down with him. His pops was one of my coaches at Arkansas. He came in with Houston Nut, Chris Vaughn, one of the best dudes I've ever been around. Great football coach, unbelievable person. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't follow the recruiting and all that. Hell, Chris bounced around from Ole Miss to Texas. He was bouncing all over the place, so I didn't know where Deuce ended up. But the minute I saw Deuce Vaughn jump on the scene at Kansas State, I seen his face. Saw his last name, and I saw his face, and I said, "Hey, that's got to be Chris Vaughn's man. That's got to be his little boy right there, man." So great player, great kid, great family. Good stuff right there, Rench. You got a future, my brother. You got a future.
Nah, I appreciate it.
Hey, man, let's jump into some of that the Kansas State conversation real quick, man. Look, they've got K-State's looking good. They got wins versus Missouri and Texas Tech and at OU, but they do have a bad loss on their record right now with Tulane, man. I think that's really going to hold them back. I think for somebody to come out of the Big 12 and be taken serious in terms of the college football playoff when it's all said and done. You got to run the table. You damn sure can't lose to Tulane if the committee's going to take you serious. But I tell you what, they're looking good and they're playing some great football, Rench.
Yeah, I mean, I would look. Every coach in America is winning some games going to say that the goal is to win them all. To me, Kansas State has already exceeded expectations. To me, beating Oklahoma, like I think them going into Oklahoma and winning that game was huge. And they're in the top 25. Deuce was saying this is the third time in his career, and third week in his career he's been in the top 25. It was like one time last year. Then the 2 times this year they've been in the top 25. The only 2 times in his career they've been ranked. And so for that program, this is already monumental. I think now it's like one thing to think you can, as we all know in football, but it's one thing to know you can. And now they know they can go win games, win the biggest of them. And to me, look at that conference. Like you said, the shields aren't shining as bright as they used to be. So I don't think there's nobody that really puts fear. And they already went to Oklahoma. They went there and won that game. And you look at their schedule, they got Iowa State, which would be a good game. They do play TCU in 2 weeks. Then they got Oklahoma State. And they got Texas. So they got a tough little schedule. But I mean, at the same time, they're at the top of their conference. And I feel like why shouldn't they win those games more so than why they shouldn't?
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. I think that the X factor for K-State is Martinez.
Ooh, come on.
I mean,
hey, 100%.
I didn't know he was that fast. I mean, when he opens up, he's gone. Or they say he gone. He's
right.
Right. And I've been around some guys that can go, right? But when he opens up, and you saw it the last 2 weeks, when that head starts bobbing and he is rolling by people, and that keeps the running back. I mean, that read option is different with him. And they're running some
because you got to trust it. You really got to trust it.
Oh man, because he's a wire to wire guy. He's not a first down guy. He's not, no disrespect, Clint. He's not, get a first down, maybe get in the red zone, then we're gonna run the guy, might get this guy can go, he's a home run hitter. Right. And you've got really 2 elite talents back there in the backfield. And Martinez can spin it too. So he's putting pressure on defense in a different way. Ask Oklahoma. Right. You don't just, you can say what you want about Oklahoma's defense, but they got speed. He ran away from everybody the last 3 weeks. He's run away from them. So I don't see K-State going away anytime soon. I just don't. Right. I because of the guy who's got his hands on the ball every snap. I think Martinez right now is playing at as high a level as any quarterback in the country.
Hey, Coach, I like the way that Kansas State handled their quarterback situation. They obviously had a good squad coming back. They lost Skylar Thompson last year. Skylar was a dude that he could move the sticks with his feet, but to your point, he wasn't the guy that was going, when he kicks that chin up, ain't nobody catching him. And he could throw it around the park a little bit. Well, now you jump to Adrian Martinez. The one thing you do when you bring in Adrian Martinez as a transfer, the one thing you do know is that you're going to have a 1-2 punch with Deuce Vaughn and Adrian Martinez. Going from Nebraska to Kansas State, he wasn't going to lose his feet now. Now, we can split hairs about his ability to throw the football. I'm talking about on his way into Kansas State. We can split hairs on whether we knew, hey, he's going to come in here, he's going to be able to light it up. But we knew he was bringing them feet with him. And just Kansas State talking about going and getting a for sure. Like, you don't have to go get the sexiest guy out there. You don't have to don't ever pass up for sure for some more. My boy Emmitt Smith told me that a long time ago. Don't ever pass up for sure for some more. And they went out there and got a guy that they knew what they were getting. So Adrian Martinez right now, he's knocking on 1,200 yards of total offense in 5 games, 4-5 games. Deuce Vaughn, 125 yards rushing per. Kansas State's going to be a problem. I think they can win the Big 12. I don't think they can get into the college football playoffs. Let's jump real quick into what do they call it now? Hell, the Red River Showdown.
Shootout.
I thought Red River Rivalry. Say that 3 times real fast. Damn. The Red River Showdown. It's the first time since 1998 that this game has taken place and both teams weren't ranked, right? Hell, that's back in my day. That's back when I was spinning the old pigskin, Coach. I think we might have beat up on Texas that year. Texas is currently a 7-point favorite right now. Coach Sumlin, real quick, what do you think is at stake with this ball game? 2 3-2 football teams that appear to be at a point where they got a fork in the road, man. You're either going to go real far south or you're going to keep hope alive.
Pride. That's it. There is no this game has no bearing on the Big 12 championship. They're playing for pride and recruiting, right? That's it. And like I said, who would have thought this weekend game day is not there or Alabama A&M, right?
Yep.
They're in Kansas. That tells you all you need to know about this game and what's at stake. Right now, you know, who's going to win? Texas, what, 5-7-point favorites?
7.
Yeah. When's the last time that happened?
I think I heard it earlier. It's been a minute. It's been a good minute. It's been a good minute.
And to me, man, y'all, look, Coach V, it was a reason I got to Clemson. Recruited me, got me in there, and like he had a lot of hype going to the season, and I thought I had them in the playoffs. Like I would love to see Clemson in Oklahoma in the playoffs. That'd be a great game. But right now, it's not going that way. To me, this is a must-win game for him because that Oklahoma fan base. The people talk about the fan base. They might have the craziest fan base. That's my opinion of seeing how wild they are on social media, how much they support the players. Their fan base gets behind that team, and I think this game, like Coach was saying, is really for pride and for Coach V needs some momentum, man. Like he's 2 big losses. He needs a game like this to kind of people like it's still a recognizable win. It's still Texas. It obviously ain't holding that much weight in the top 25, but it's still Texas.
Let me just say this, right? I coached there for 5 years. I mean, 5 great years at Oklahoma. And for this game, what people don't understand, if you're at Oklahoma, you're playing at the Texas State Fair, right? It's not a neutral site. It's in the middle of the Texas State Fair. They're rocking the bus. And I've said this a long time ago. If they didn't rock the bus, because half the guys on those buses are from Texas, right? So you're coming back home, they're like rocking the bus and yell at you. That those guys are going to play their ass off that day. You ain't got to worry about them. It's the other guys that come in there, and it's 100 and some thousand people. It's old school. You come down the same tunnel, right? You got to wait for the other team, which that never happens, right? There's going to be a fight in the tunnel, right? There's going to be a fight outside. It's a real rivalry, right? And everybody there is not happy. And the only place, I've been through a bunch of different rivalries, but the 50-yard line is crimson, right? And burnt orange at the 50 all the way around. It's crazy. And there will still be that way, except for this year, it's for nothing, for pride.
Yeah.
And the 5th or 6th week of the year, the team who wins this game is making their chance of pushing towards a national championship.
Yeah.
Period.
Hey, Coach, here's the deal. I think it's about the loser of this ball game. The loser is done, and I don't just mean in the Big 12. I mean, like Venables is trying to rebuild an organization. He's trying to rebuild a program that was decimated when the former coach left. He's trying to rebuild. I would
disagree. You're not going to there is not a rebuild at Oklahoma, right?
Even right now with what you're watching, Coach?
Right now it's a rebuild, but
it wasn't a rebuild going into it. Yeah.
Right.
To me, it was a continuation. Nah.
Right. Well, either way it goes, you get my point, Coach. Like recruiting is going to be tenfold harder if you lose this ball game. I mean, for both guys, like Tex Sark is in year 2. You played Alabama tight. You lost to Texas Tech. You got a chance. You go beat OU. Everybody will think you're still trending in the right direction. You lose, man, you're that same old sub 500 football coach that can't get it done at Texas. Right. Venables he wins this ball game. I think people will be a little bit nicer as he gets this thing rolling versus, boy, if he loses, it could get ugly. Hey, guys, look, I could go all night with you two. At the end of the day, we could do this. We could do this all night. But I'm getting pushed out of the damn room over here, so we got to get out of here. But for everybody out there listening, thank you so much for listening to Field of 12 After Dark. We're here. I guess what is it? Saturday and Monday through Thursday, I think are the days. But nonetheless, Follow us on social media. Hit us up right here on YouTube. Obviously, subscribe to the channel. We're powered by BetRivers. Check BetRivers.com as often as you can. Maybe you can win a little bit of money this weekend. It sounded like from our show tonight, the under in the Iowa game moving forward, no matter who they're playing, is the bet. You can find us on that SiriusXM app anytime. And don't forget to check out our merch store on fieldof68.shop. I'm Clint Stoerner, for my man Darien Rencher and Coach Kevin Sumlin.